Good afternoon. I'd like to go ahead and start the meeting of the September Mayor's Commission on Reparations. Thank you for being here. Eric, I don't have an agenda in front of me, so I'm going to go off of memory. And so I think the first thing up is we'll do roll call, see who's in the chamber and who's online, and then we'll move right into approving our meeting notes from August.
Okay. When I say your name, please say present. Commissioner Barnes,
Present.
Commissioner Bowles,
Present.
Commissioner Ellis,
Present.
Commissioner Ford.
I'm breaking up, but I'm present. I think you said Ford.
I did. Commissioner Lyman,
Okay.
Commissioner Hartsfield,
Present.
Commissioner Hearn,
Present.
Commissioner Jones,
Present.
Commissioner Morris, and Commissioner Tauheed.
All right, so at this time, we have the approval of minutes. So everybody should have a copy of the August meeting minutes to review and approve. We'll just take a moment to do that. Do they have a copy online?
I don't think they have a copy online.
We have physical copies here in the chamber. Eric is gonna email you guys a copy in just a moment.
I probably won't be able to get it because I'm on a different computer and put my computer in the shop and the Geek Squad kept it this morning. So I'm struggling with an old one. And they had to update and everything to get on. So I may not get it. Let's see. At least my camera's working. Not this one.
Eric, one correction is second page at the bottom where it talks about next meeting. That should be September 24th. Right, from August. The next month would be September, which is today's meeting.
Correct. The next meeting is October 22nd.
This is from August. These are August meeting. So our next
say-
meeting would be September.
Let's just say today's date.
Right.
So today's date should be on here,
Next one is actually
Would
October.
it be?
right?
It'll be October because you're reading these minutes
From
from
August.
August.
So in August, the
September.
next meeting would be September, which would be today's meeting notes, our meeting date.
Let's just say September.
The version that we have, I don't think these are our minutes.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think these are right.
These have other people listed as the attendees. The meeting date is September 30th. Yeah, and the chair report, this is another group.
Oh, no, that's a template. I'm sorry. That's not an actual group.
Got it?
Got it.
Okay, you should be receiving that here shortly in your mailbox.
And then the next meeting is actually October 28th, it looks like. Oh no, 20 and 29th, I'm sorry. I'm sure we get that towards the end of this meeting. You have any water, Eric?
If you guys online would just give us a high sign and let us know that you've completed the review. And then we can go ahead and open it up for the vote.
I don't know about anyone else, but I think he just sent the agenda for today, but not the minutes for August. So
Oh, okie dokie. And he just stepped out of the room, so he's not
yeah,
here.
okay.
Okay, so you still don't have the notes, the
Nope.
notes from August. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. He stepped out, so we're gonna keep moving and bring that back at the end of the meeting for us to review and approve our notes from last month. That was your fault? Oh, oh yeah. Carnell asked for water, so he's on the search for. All right. I'll go on into chair's report, which I'm going to forego my report. I think we have a lot of conversation around the strategic planning meeting that we had a few weeks ago. So I sent out a summary of that. So hopefully everybody got a chance to take a look at it. And we will hold off on those until we get through our subcommittee reports, and then we'll circle back for the discussion of the RFI, the discussion on bringing on a paid project administrator, and also a timeline around everything getting started. So with that, let's go ahead and do subcommittee reports. Mr. Ellis, Commissioner Ellis, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Cornell Ellis. I'm the Education Subcommittee Chair. Unfortunately, I was facing some travel difficulties this last month and I had to cancel the meeting. But I'm continuing to work on some of the, I guess you all didn't see, some of the same conversations as last month, preparing for hopefully a listening session, which unfortunately now we're another 30 days closer. I'm trying to get in touch with the Ballards. That would be appreciated. I would really appreciate it. Dr. Tahi and I kind of passing ships in the night, having a hard time getting connected. But I need to get their availability before I can ask for the venue, before the other ball gets rolling. They're kind of the big domino to knock over first. And so as soon as I get their contact information, I'll be able to move forward. We had a date of October 20, that week of October 20th to 26th. So I guess we could continue probably to move forward with the request of the honorarium through, because we need 45 days, which we're pushing it now, to be able to get that done, knowing that we want to uh, compensate our guests for their expertise. I'm also still updating the harms document. So education committee has a draft and thinking about the kind of the harm statement as an introductory statement towards education disparities in the Kansas City area and its impact. And I also went ahead and got started with thank you so much. I appreciate you. Went ahead and got started with a Google document that we'll be able to drop into an eventual folder for all of us that has that resource bed, right? So I'm an Excel document that will kind of start serving as a resource bank for us to research African-centered education. I'm going to be able to share and disseminate information about African-centered education, which will kind of be, again, kind of the focal point of the education harms statement or and eventual research. So looking forward to we may need to push to November now, and thinking about the delay that we've had and wanting to be able to get a good amount of time for marketing. But hopefully we'll get that listening session scheduled, and with the RFI being produced, I think we have a good idea of where to send a researcher and we'll have a good kind of set bank of materials for the researcher to kind of get started with.
In addition to that, we haven't met, so just dispel it now, but I've been speaking to other ACE.
Perfect.
Just that have been involved just to.
Guest speakers would be great, yeah, because if we end up not being able to get the Ballards for this initial one, I want to be able to bring in other guest speakers, and other people that were surrounded the project.
So that's what it is.
Me and you can connect offline to exchange some contacts. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ellis. Does anybody have any questions? Education Subcommittee? All right, Dr. Jones, you want to give us a report from the Health Subcommittee?
Yes, so we had a really good meeting a couple of weeks ago. We had a guest speaker, Dr. Jason Glenn, who's an associate professor of history and philosophy of medicine at KU Medical Center. So he gave a really great and comprehensive presentation on inequities related to healthcare, but he was also able to link them pretty much to all of the harm areas that we're focusing on as well. So how those link with education and how it links with criminal justice system, and as well as wealth inequity. So had a really great presentation, a really good discussion, and we're hoping to kind of keep in contact with him as a potential resource going forward, and particularly getting our RFI out to him to consider, given his background as a historian. So that was a really great presentation. I don't know if our presentations are being posted on our webpage. That was one thing I wanted to ask about. Because I do think this is one that would be a really good resource for the public to be able to view later.
So it was definitely recorded. We
Mhm.
just don't know if it's posted.
Okay.
No, I'm asking. We're for sure that it was recorded, or we don't know if it was recorded.
Well, I assume that all of our meetings are recorded.
So yes, Eric is saying yes, it was
Okay.
recorded. So it's just whether or not it's posted.
Posted.
Because they have to go to communications so they can upload them.
Okay. And that would
Okay.
be posted to our YouTube, to
To
the city's YouTube.
Yes. And I can send you the guys the link of it when they do it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Which can be, but the link is posted on the webpage also.
I don't think so. I don't think it's on there.
I did have a conversation with Heather
Mhm.
because I was concerned that if our recorded sessions are just out there with the other city sessions, they would be hard for people to locate. And she left me with the impression that there's they're organized in some way.
There's
I have
channels.
not been out there, so I don't know what it looks like.
So there's channels on the YouTube. So there's playlists, excuse me. So there's like a City of Kansas City channel, and then there's playlists where each topic kind of gets. So if you watch one, then all of the other reparations ones get organized into that playlist. So you can like topically separate
As
the
an
videos.
individual.
The City of Kansas
The
City
city will do that.
organizes them
Okay.
for us in that way. At least that's the way the function works. I haven't been out there to see, but
Okay.
that's the way that ours is organized in that way. But like that's the way my organization does. Like that's the way YouTube functions.
Okay.
To be able to topically separate out. So it's not all the organization stuff on one. It's like there's a playlist on this topic and a playlist on this topic and a playlist on this topic. So reparations will have its own playlist.
Okay. So that may be something that we all take an opportunity to do over the next few days, because there should be several recorded events, because all of our events have been recorded. So if they're all going out to YouTube, there should be even the education one from last year and the one at the church and all the ones that we've done before should be recorded and out there.
They're recorded.
Right now.
They're recorded
They're right here
right here,
on my computer.
not on YouTube yet.
Not on YouTube
Okay.
yet, because
Okay.
because when I would try to get them over to communication, the file was too big. So I couldn't send it
Okay.
over to them. So they created a cloud in my email so I can rename it and just put it in the cloud and then I'll upload it.
Okay.
So this is the City of Kansas City.
Okay.
Budget. Have one called
Reparations. So it sounds like it's not there yet, but
Right.
it
Okay.
should be.
And then
There
we would
is a
need-
way
And we would need
to
to link
host them.
on our website as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said we could put a link on the website as well to help people easily get to.
Yeah, you'll click on a link and it'll take you right to the playlist.
Okay.
And then the other update is that Commissioner Hartsville has, I believe, found us a location for our listening session. We're going to go and take a look at it on Thursday morning. So we're going to go to Swope. I believe they have an auditorium that they're willing for us to use. So we're going to go and take a look at it and make sure that space-wise it will fit what we have in mind, as well as they have the audio-visual capabilities that we will need to show the documentary. So as we mentioned before, we're planning to invite Kevin Wilmot, who did the documentary From Separate to Equal, the creation of Truman Medical Center, that talks more about just the inequities in the healthcare system overall in Kansas City. It's a really great documentary. So we're planning to show at least part of that, and then have Mr. Wilmot speak, as well as possibly having a couple panel member discussion and then some open public discussion is the format that we're thinking of. But first, we've been trying to find a location to meet the needs with the AV in the space. So hopefully this will work out, and then we can finalize our date. Tentatively, we're thinking I believe it's the second week in November. Commissioner Harts will correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we picked the dates, the 11th or the 14th of November. As tentative dates. But like I said, once we confirm the location, then we can try to confirm with the speaker.
Sounds good. Sounds awesome. I actually have heard Professor Glenn before, and you're right, he's incredible. His presentation left us all speechless, and I would love to make sure that we get that accessible to anybody who has an interest in what's happening with healthcare. I think it'll be a powerful presentation. All right, is there any questions, any other questions for Dr. Jones? Linwood Tauheed, have you joined us, Commissioner Tauheed? And I don't know that there's anybody here on the economics. I know we were down to 2.
Yeah,
So
since
Commissioner Ford, is there anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, in the absence of Commissioner Tauheed, I was checking to see you've checked already. Guess he's not here. So there was no monthly meeting. And of course, with the recent resignations, our subcommittee was decimated pretty much. And so, but I am happy to relay the information that Kelly has chosen to join us on the economic subcommittee. So that is we lost two, but we've gained quite a bit in the interim. So I'm happy to have her come join us. It's going to be I know she can make a difference. And so the other thing I think that we had was that with the strategic planning session, the the retreat, I think we're going to be gathering some of Commissioner Fritz's information so that we can look more into what he was putting together. So that's all that we have right now. There was no meeting for the subcommittee, financial economic subcommittee.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. Asia Morris, Commissioner Morris, I don't think she is here for housing. And of course, we don't have coverage for criminal justice. Any other questions or comments for any of the subcommittees before we move on to our discussion on our retreat?
I did see on that outline before that I was on the criminal justice, but I just
Or you just by yourself?
yeah, I'll just have to pull that off there and see where I could utilize my capacity.
Yeah. All right. So if there are no other questions on subcommittees, I want to take us over to.
Like,
I don't have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's Janice, and I just wanted to indicate that I too joined the subcommittee, the economic subcommittee, and looking forward to working with the group.
All right.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Does that take you guys back up to 4?
Yes, that would take us to 4.
Okay. Dr. Jones, how are you in the healthcare? Do you have at least 4?
We have 3, well, including myself, 4.
Okay. Yeah, we probably need to update that chart. Yeah, because I still see D King listed. So we need to make sure we get the chart updated. Commissioner Hearn, could I ask you to make sure that our website is updated with the new commissioner assignments?
Sure.
Thank you. All right, so I wanted to open this conversation over the strategic planning meeting that we had on the 13th. Hopefully by now, all of you have had a chance to review those notes, and we can walk through this and see what questions or open comments that we still have. We realized pretty quickly that what we were having was not really a strategic planning session, but more of a work plan of how we can put how we can prioritize the work that needs to be done and how we can move things forward on the commission. Before I jump in this just list of things, the 4 things we want to talk about, which is the RFI, which hopefully all of you have in front of you or have a copy of the RFI, the proposed project administrator position. And then the third thing is, there was one more thing. Oh, the framework that Fritz Ritzmeier put together before he left the commission. We'll walk through and talk about that. I'm hoping that Commissioner Tauheed joins us because I think he has a lot more insight into that form than I would. So first of all, if we could take a look at the RFI, I think that is probably the biggest part of this conversation I wanted to have and make sure we get everybody's input. But you have the RFI in front of you. Of course, now that we are funded, we can put forward an RFP. And the biggest thing that we have to make sure we're comfortable with is our scope, the scoping of this. So if you look at page 1 and probably page 2 of the RFI, it's pretty generic. And it was recommended that we add additional detail to our scope to put this out to potential researchers or investigators. So when I reviewed
Excuse
it,
me,
oh, yeah.
we don't have those documents, or at least I don't have them unless, I don't know if
Okay.
Eric
So the
sent
RFP
those
was
to
sent,
us.
RFI is sent through the,
So if you still have the summer meeting summary that I sent back on the 13th or 14th, it's an
Okay, it's on
attachment.
there. Okay,
Yeah, there are 4 attachments to that. And one of them would be the RFI. You don't
Okay.
have it? It's part in his stack.
the one I thought we were,
Just one quick moment.
that's the one I thought we were missing hard. I have it pulled up soft.
Yeah, we got it over here.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see it.
Eric stepped out, so as soon as he's back, if you guys haven't located it in your email, we'll have him send it out to you.
I
But
found
one of
it.
the,
Thank you.
oh, you found it. Okay, so do all of you have it? All the commissioners, do you have a copy of it from the email? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so if you take a look at that, it's pretty generic. And one of the things that stood out to me following the discussion we had in our retreat last, a couple weeks ago, was Linwood Tahi, Commissioner Tahi made a point because he said that he's always hearing people say a lot of this research has been completed. And he really wanted us to stay focused on the fact that although there's a lot of work that's been done, it's not been done through the lens of the city. And so he feels like there's still a lot of research to be done because that work will be required for them to look at the policies and procedures of the city, not just any generic thing that's happening out there, but how the city has been complicit or negligent in what the city has done. And so that was a really powerful reminder to me. And so when I looked at this RFI, it doesn't say anything about this investigator needs to have experience or know how to look at city policies and procedures and practices and kind of know how the city works, to know what questions to ask and where these documents are and where they should be and what should happen. And so even though that researcher may not have that expertise, it certainly seems to me that there would need to be somebody on the team that has some familiarity with city documentation and files and recordings. So I think that we should certainly add a sentence or two that references the lens of the city. And I know that you guys are just looking at this, so it's not my intent that we solve it today. What I told Keely Golden is our key contact in the city who will be distributing the RFP when we're ready, is I asked her to give us 1 week following this meeting to finalize the scope. And once we finalize the scope is one part of a 14-part RFP. And most of those things are related to just standard city requirements. We ask about the business. We ask about their experience doing this type of work. We ask about their diversity numbers because it's going to be over a $400,000 contract. If it's over $400,000, it has to go through CREO, which is the department in the city that reviews MWBE numbers. And also because we believe it'll be more than $400,000, although the city has given approval, it will have to go back in front of the city because of the dollar amount of the contract. So do you all feel comfortable with having an opportunity to review this and get any feedback within a week so that we can get that scope done and then it's just passing it through the city process?
Sure. Indeed. So place a date on that then.
Mm-hmm.
So should we respond with our comments for this version for the RFI, or will you send out another version that's in the RFP format?
Well, the RFP and the RFI really look the same. The formats are the
Okay.
same. It's just
Okay.
how it's written. And so if you guys would just share your thought, I'll be happy to collect the things that you like added. I'll take a stab at creating the scope and then send it back out to everybody to review. And what I'm asking is, do you think 1 week is enough time to review it and send me any edits? And what we're looking for is just a little more detail, because clearly when those folks, the historians, the investigators, whoever receives this, we want to make sure they understand what they're being asked to produce. Because they will be responsible again. Oh, I got it in my head. One of the things that we decided in our retreat is that we were going to roll up all of those dollars. So if you recall, the budget had everything broken out by line item. We're going to roll those dollars up and let the investigator build the team necessary to do the work. So instead of us telling them who they need to hire to get things done, they will have the autonomy to look at what we're asking for. And then they will say, oh, I need a historian, I need a researcher, I need a whatever it is. And we will let them come back and tell us what that dollar amount is to do that work. Okay, so if you guys would take a look at the RFI, the project description and the project goals, send any comments or additions, anything that can strengthen this and make it very clear when we send it out, people will be clear about what the expectation is. What does the finished result is what really should be here. So they know and understand what they're being tasked to do.
So my one question I have on this is we developed this, a few months back. And so I think that our understanding of the harm report has culminated something greater. Like I don't see a mention of the harm report in here either.
Right.
We talk about the damage done, but not necessarily a harm report. And so then if we could come together to a synopsis of what that looks like and build that into here as well, I think that would assist.
Yeah, I know that each subcommittee is working on a harm statement, but I would love to see whoever this investigator is have some expertise around what solidifies the harm statement and what makes it a powerful, impactful statement to make sure that we have everything covered. So I think that would be a good thing to add.
Yeah, and I mean, and Cobra and NARC, they have some good outlines right on their website that, dispels how those should be rolled out and whatnot. Just as far as any additions, I do think the week is good. So we could that time span and see if any additional time is needed. But
You say in Cobra and who?
NARC.
That was gonna be my questions. You said this was pretty general and vague. Is this just kind of like a boilerplate RFI that we've just kind of adapted slightly, or was this something that we built based on the other RFIs that we've seen in this area, or in this field?
I think I don't think we did this based off of expertise that we found anywhere. I think we collectively put this together several months ago. But I think
Zoom. Okay.
But I think this is just the work of the commission. I don't think that this is a template that was used elsewhere that we fashioned toward our work.
Okay. You mentioned mention specifically of the city culpability as an area where there needs to be some microscope, right? We need to be looking for that. I also heard Will say, he mentioned the harms report or the harm statements and kind of thinking about how to weave those throughout. Is there anything else specifically that you all talked about? Because I missed the retreat, unfortunately. Is there anything else that you all talked about that we need to be thinking about with a certain lens as we go through editing for the next couple days?
Yeah, like I said, the most powerful thing for me was just this discussion that although there's been a lot of research done in Kansas City in a lot of different areas, education, the redlining, housing, there's a lot of information out there. But Commissioner Tahi did a really good job of reminding us that none of that was done through the lens of the city. And
Right.
so he feels like there's still a lot of work to be done. He also mentioned the annual report that the Urban League puts out, because again, you tend to look at that and go, well, wow, a lot of these facts are out there, but it doesn't tie back to the city. That's just Kansas City in general. And so I think that that's really, that was really key to remind us that although we may uncover lots of things that are happening in Kansas City, our task is to look at how the city of Kansas City has been a participant or not.
Activities,
That's
yeah.
right.
So I mean, I know that when I read the project description area, there's the last bullet point to establish infrastructure for research into Kansas City's history. I think there's a space there for adding a sentence or two about city culpability. I'll look at the project goals section on the top of page 2. As also a space where we would talk about how has the city, you know, the what, when, where, who, how, why space needs to have something about city, legal, municipality, legislation, something on that type of terminology. And then I also think about the evaluation criteria to be considered and the qualifications to be considered. I know that as we get applications, we'll be able to think about, does this person have this XYZ expertise? But we should list beforehand this idea of knowing or being, like you said, having the knowledge of where these city policies are held, you know, municipal legislation. You know, they should be not only an expert in quantitative research about city, I'm sorry, about Black experiences and Kansas City, but they should also be an expert in in some type of legal, right? Like they need to be able to understand and be able to decipher some of the some of that language, right? And so I think in the section 3 evaluation criteria, that's another place where I see we could add. We would like to have a candidate who is fluent or efficient in this type of work, right? XYZ. Quality was specific, and it says this here: experience the type of project specified in the RFQ, quality and relevance of prior research. Will this be the area we would get specific about what type of skills and research we would like to see previously? Quality and relevance.
Which one are you looking at? I'm sorry,
Look at the bottom of page 2, section 3. Evaluation criteria to be considered. So those 3 bullet points right there, it says experience with the type of project specified in the RFQ, quality and relevance of prior research, and proven capacity to deliver project requirements on time and on budget. I think that these are, when we think about how specific are we going to be in this, right? Like when we are, I can see us being more specific in terms of like quality and relevance of prior research and like putting more bullet points and saying like we need quality research, relevant research around these areas.
Actually, you reminded me. So I will email you all the actual RFP packet. So if you think about the RFP packet, what we're talking about is the scope, which is one piece of it. There are 13 other pieces that go to the RFP packet. And one of them is an evaluation, like a rubric that said, and I'm making this up because I don't remember the numbers, but 20% of the weight is on their experience. 10% is on whether or not they've done a project like this before. So they have a whole rubric where they recommend. Now we can change the numbers, but they kind of recommend based on this type of RFP, they've put together what they feel is kind of a best practice evaluation. And so I'll send that out so you guys can get a chance to take a look at that. The other thing that I'll share is that all of us would be considered evaluators, but there needs to be a small team. The recommendation is 3 to 5, with one of those roles being either a city attorney or somebody who knows the city process, RFP process, who will be the decision makers, if you will. So again, everybody will be able to take a look at all of the submissions, I'll be able to provide input and support, but we'll create a small team of 5 that will be the committee, the hiring committee, if you will, that will be part of the interviews with the selected candidates. And we can talk about that in closed session. Any other questions about the RFP? So take a look, shoot me an email with what you'd like to see added. Again, we've been asked to add a little bit more detail on the scope and to be real clear about what we want the outcome to be. The city is going to work on the other components because again, there are 14 sections that each applicant will have to complete. And I'll send you that document after this meeting. So you'll see the 14 components. Because we anticipate the payment to be over $400,000, it will have to go back in front of the city council for approval. It will also have to go to CREO, which is the Civil Rights Division, to make sure it does, so they could tell us whether or not there are MBWEB goals that have to be met with respect to this assignment. Any other questions or comments?
I have one quick question. Do we have any idea of what the pool, does a pool of exposure of these people with these kind of qualifications, where does it exist? As we put out a search for our RFIs and RFPs, or
Yeah, so Kenneth, Commissioner Ford, that was the big delay, right? Remember, we sent this out and we didn't get any responses. And so we went back to say, Eric has been working on a list of university research departments, African history departments. And I know that Dr. Jones and Dr. Tauheed has submitted a recommendation. We know that we want to send it out to the Center for Neighborhoods to consider. So we need all of you to identify people that you know, organizations, institutions that you believe would be capable of doing this work. And we also, of course, have folks that we can reach out to from the First Repair, any guidance that we can get from KC Reparations Coalition. Because they do not have to be local. I think that was important to share.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Step of a plan. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that.
That's all right. You're all right. All right. Any other questions, or can we move on to the next topic? So you got 1 week to shoot feedback, and I'll try to remember midway through to send a kind of reminder so that we don't miss our deadlines and we keep this moving. All right. The next thing that we talked about at the retreat was hiring a project administrator, using some of the funds that we received out of the budget to hire somebody to help provide us support, especially as we gear up to bring on an investigator. We felt like we needed more focus and more dedication and more time to do specific things. We've outlined all of those on a job description that hopefully you all have seen. Commissioner Hearn and I got together, put together this summary and a proposed salary, which was $1,200 to $1,600 a month, depending on experience. Any discussion, comments, or concerns about that? Or any skills or tasks that should be included that we failed to include?
Does that dollar amount align with like a percent FTE or number of hours?
It was 40 hours a month.
Okay, so I think I don't see that on here. I don't know if I'm missing it. I think we should put that on there. Is this going to be the job announcement, or is this just a summary for us?
Yeah, this was just for us.
Okay.
So if we like this, however we edit, whatever final comments, and then we'll create an actual job posting from it. But that's a good question. It still should have been on here. But what we discussed in our meeting a couple weeks ago was that it would be 40 hours per month. Say that again. Oh. Janae Relaford, you have your hand up?
Yes, I wanted to make a comment about that because we recently got standards from Community Capital Fund on, full-time and part-time FTEs, what the salary should be, and that is low. So I can send you what Community Capital Fund shared with us.
Okay. All right, that would be great. We did look at salaries in the Kansas City area for that specific position, and that's how we came up with the salary that we have.
Okay, I'll just share with you what they shared and you all can just like compare.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think, and the other thing that I'll say is we wanted to be really clear, this is not a project management role because that would be significantly higher. This is much more on the administrative side.
Okay.
And so that would be one of the reasons it's probably lower than what you would think about a project manager role.
Janae, can you make sure to copy me on that email, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bowles has his hand up as well.
Oh, Commissioner Bowles. Will, are you there?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get back in the panel. I've been in the audience here, so I sent the text to Eric.
I tried to promote it and it said it declined. There he goes.
All right, you should be good now.
I had a question. I see communication on this list. I also see maintain on the dot above that in documentation and organization. I see some kind of communication or marketing with the website and the Teams channel. Is this person going to be responsible for maintaining the Facebook if we have it, or external communications?
We didn't talk about that.
Okay.
Possibly.
Okay.
I think if we end up having a Facebook page, there will probably be a lot of guidelines around it.
Sure.
And so potentially.
That would
But
be,
that did not come up for this
yeah,
particular.
website, under documentation organization kind of falls under, yeah, that external communication piece. So if I'm looking at that as a potential applicant, I'm gonna want some more clarity around, because if you're asking me to run your social media content, that's gonna be a little bit more, again, as Janae was saying, I think that could be a little bit low for that project.
But keep in mind, we are not traditional social media. We would be posting our
Once a month,
sessions.
yeah.
Right. We're
Yeah.
not engaging back and forth. We're not sending 2 or 3 posts a day.
Sure.
We would be posting when we have listening sessions
Right.
or
Gotcha.
these meetings.
Gotcha. Absolutely.
Any concerns? Any concerns about using our funds from the budget to move over to this project role?
No,
and
no concerns, but I just as an addition, since we got the budget layout, I would like to see how, like to have the rolling budget to where, as we make these implementations, when we go to vote on them, we could see this is what's going to be allocated, this is what's left, and work like that, a functional budget.
Commissioner, I'm glad you said that because we did talk about, I think we talked about, it's in my head, that we were going to make our budget online so that anybody could click on it and see kind of where we were allocating things and how those funds were being spent. We wanted to be very transparent about that because one thing is sure, the $360,000 that we received is not enough. It's not going to be enough to do the work that we believe we need to do. So we will have to go back to the teal at some point, but this will allow us to get started for sure. That's a good point. We need to figure out how to either get it on our website or a link to where folks can go and kind of see it if they'd like to see it. All right, if no more
if I may, I was just concerned about the time frame that we're looking at. Do we still need to review our time frame as a commission? Because as we look to hire and put these people in place, there's going to be they're going to need some time to put together all this information, and a lot of it's not easily accessible. And so want to be concerned about the time frame that we're operating in. And do our researchers, our program administrators have enough time to do what they need to do effectively?
Yeah, so one of the things that and it's funny because today when I came into the building, I happened to walk in with the mayor. And I kind of joked with him, but I was like, well, I'm on my way to reparations. We haven't seen you lately. When are you going to come to one of our meetings? And he said, well, you want me to come today? And I was like, well, not necessarily today, but let's get it back in front of you. So we've already made communication through his office that we will be coming back to extend our dates. So at this point, I'm gonna say that whoever we hire will have the same leeway that we had planned for the initial investigation. We're not going to be cut short. I'm gonna say we're gonna go forward in good faith that we will receive approval to have our time extended so that we can do the work necessary. But the sooner that we can get these things in place, the sooner we can make time to get in front of the full council to share that information and to make that request.
Thank you.
And then
one other.
I was just going to say real quick for this position, I don't see it on here, but we had set aside $10,000 out of the budget for this. All right. So if
The other comment I had was just making it flexible as far as I know we said 40 hours, but I feel like we may not know what's going to be needed until this person gets in the position. So having some of the language indicate that this is maybe flexible, that more hours may be needed.
more or less.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll depend
Yes.
on the workload.
Good point. All right. Any other discussion about the project administrator role? So we will move forward on that, and I will work with the internal administration to get this one going, updated and going. Where are we? Commission on Reparations report. Everybody should have a draft outline of a framework that Commissioner Reesmeyer put together in the Economics Commission. It is titled Commission on Reparations Report, and I believe, I see Commissioner Tauheed. He'd probably be a much better person to talk about this. But I believe this is a recommended draft of the way that we could begin to draft our proposal. Commissioner Tauheed, are you there?
Yes, I am trying to get connected here.
Oh, I'm sorry. You just landed. Okay.
Yes.
We'll give you a minute. We'll give you a minute and come back to that document.
Okay.
What
was that the document that Commissioner Reesmeyer had created?
That is correct.
Okay. Let me take a look at that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll give you a minute to do that and come back to you. Let's see. Is there anything else? Anything else on the summary document that you guys have questions about? It was a really good meeting. My phone is dead. Can somebody give me a quick time check? What time is it?
Correct.
That's correct? Okay, 4:05. So we're making really good time. Commissioner Tauheed, are you ready? While he's continuing to get ready, I just have a question really quick. You guys got an email from a professor at KU who invited us to come down to speak to his class. And I just wanted to bring that back up in this meeting because I believe I have 2 people for Thursday, October 24th Lawrence, Kansas, 3:20 p.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. I have Cornell Ellis and I have Kenneth Ford. Is that correct?
Can you read those dates out again, please?
Yes, that is Thursday, October 24th in Lawrence, Kansas. And I believe he said there is a Zoom option,
I'm virtual that night.
3:20 to 6 p.m. And actually, I'm sure he doesn't want us there that whole time. So I think I could get a tighter. Do you want us there on the first hour or the last hour?
First hour would be great.
Commissioner Ford, do you have a preference at all? What time you can cover with 3 to 4? Well, it starts at 3:20. So I'd probably say 3:30 to 4:30.
I'm open that day, so I can whatever. If something doesn't fit for one person that can't do it a certain time, I can fill in that time.
Okay.
So
all right.
Flexible, basically.
And then on Tuesday, October 29th in Overland Park, Kansas, I think Janae Relaford responded and said she could attend. And then Kenneth Ford, I have you down as well. That's 3 o'clock to 5:40. Is that correct? From both of you.
I was going to be there at that one too.
Oh, you can be there? Good. Okay. And you can physically be there at that one? Okay.
Yes, I can physically be there.
Okay.
Okay, you.
And that's the one in Overland Park, October 29th.
October 29th and 22nd.
29th, October 29th, which is a Tuesday, 3 o'clock. Again, his class is 3 o'clock to 5:40. I think we just need to clarify if he wants us on the front end or the back end. Do you guys have a preference?
Front end.
Front end, so 3 to 4.
Yeah, sounds good.
Campus.
That is the Edwards campus. All right. Thank you. I will follow up and let him know that we've got folks excited to come and talk to his class. All right, Commissioner Tauheed, are you ready on that framework?
I think I am. Let's see if I can share this document. If not, I'll just talk about it.
I have it. I think you can just talk about it.
We all have it in front of us. We all have it in front of us.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, let's just talk about this document. Was created by Commissioner Reismeyer. It was intended. We talked about this in the econ subcommittee, and it was intended to kind of help us to think about how we were going to format our report, final report out, at least our part of the report for economics. But it may also be relevant to other subcommittees and the commission as a whole. So it starts out with an introduction, which goes over the initiation of the commission, why we're here, and so forth, the historical item. Then it goes right into key findings for each subcommittee or for the commission as a whole, which would be selections, I assume, of key findings from the different reports. It then goes to the city or a proclamation apologizing for city's participation in sanctioning of enslavement and historical harms. It talks about the commission. The next part talks about the commission being established and so forth. Okay. It goes to part 2. That was in part 1. Part 2 goes to this titled "The Case for Black Reparations," and in this case, we need original research for both the national and the local argument, if you will, for the case. As you know, Commissioner Reismeyer was an attorney, and we asked him to do this, and he did as an attorney, putting together what would be, I guess, a legal brief on the issue. And so there's this section, part 2, that's the case for Black reparations, that would go into not only the local, but also the national case. Then there's a part 3, which is titled Survey of Prior Reparations Solutions, which is going to talk about historical reparations being paid for various other types of harms that governments have done there's a national, there have only been prior reparations paid at a national level, unless we also want to include the recent Evansville situation. We probably would, because that is an ongoing reparations process. And then there's a part 4, proposed reparation solutions for Kansas City, Missouri. So I'm going to assume that after the research is done, then the commission would in fact begin to propose solutions to address those harms. So the way he's organized this is that there are structural solutions. There is a request by the city to address what is currently going on, to change policies, practices, and policies of what's currently going on. And then in that proposed solutions, and then a conclusion. So it's a pretty straightforward document that in an executive summary talks about key findings, then goes to national and local cases for reparations, what reparations have been paid previously, various historical context. And by the way, that historical context is not just local or national, but there's at least a suggestion here that we look at some of the international payments that have been made for oppression for other people internationally, and then propose solutions for the Kansas City situation. So that's it in terms of the document. And as I said before, this was initially just a kind of an overview of the economic subcommittee report, but I think it's very applicable to other reports and maybe to the larger report. So I'll conclude there.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments?
I think this is like you said, a great legal brief. I think that spells out really logically to be able to make the case. I see it as perfect for the whole committee report. And I think being able to pull out certain sections, I think it is important that all of our individual reports have a similar formatting. And so being able to pull out certain sections of this that are relevant for each individual case, and then building something that's similarly formatted for the whole commission would be relevant, really useful. So this is great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank Commissioner Reesmeyer, though he's
right.
no
Yeah,
longer with us.
We'll have to send him some flowers.
Any other questions or comment on the framework?
I think this is a really great framework, and something that I'm not sure if we're able to share it with the investigator applicants, but I think it really spells out kind of what we want from looking at that. I think an investigator would be able to at least have an indication of what types of research might be needed to fill in those areas. So I don't know if we can include that in the RFP as an example.
I don't know why not. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea, because again, we're proposing, they're the experts and they can propose something different, but certainly we can say, this is what we think might be a good framework that we'd be looking for. I think that's a great idea.
Yes, I do also.
Okay. Commissioner Tauheed, I attempted to share with the larger commission your comments from our retreat a couple weeks ago when you talked about how all of us hear comments that so much of this work has been done, so much of the research has been completed, and you reminded us that a lot of research has been done, but never through the lens of the city. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit so that we can all hear it? I thought you did a great job, and it was very helpful for me.
Okay. Yes, I'll go over that. Yeah, we hear the case, we hear the idea from many places that the research has already been done to build the report from. We have 5 areas: housing, education, economics, criminal justice, and I mentioned education. I think I may have mentioned it twice. Health and health. We have those 5 areas, and it's been mentioned that we already know what the issues are in those areas because the research has been done. I gave an example of type of research that I've heard all over and over again as providing the research has been done basis, and that would be the State of Black Kansas City report, the Urban League State of Black Kansas City. And for the last couple of reports, I've been the principal investigator on that report, and so I know exactly what it entails. Our mission, is well, our duty is to find harms that can be connected directly to the city of Kansas City, and that would be harms either caused by city action or harms that have been caused by non-city action, by which but with the city having some jurisdiction over them and could have intervened and prevented the harm. There may be some other areas but the important thing is that it's connected to what the city has done. And in order for that to make that claim, we have to have data on what the city has done. Now, the State of Black Kansas City report includes the city of Kansas City, but it is a report that comes from the 11 or 14 county area, depending on what year. County area, which of course Kansas City is in 4 counties. And then it also includes data from Kansas, Wyandotte County, and other counties around the Kansas City metro area. And it does that because it uses data from every year in what's called the American Community Survey, which is done by the Census Bureau, the U.S. Census Bureau. And the American Community Survey is a small sample. And so when you have small samples, even though the city of Kansas City is included in that sample, you don't have enough observations to actually make a claim that such and such data actually applies to a small area. So for example, Jackson County includes areas not in Kansas City. And if you use that data, you're getting partial Kansas City data, and you're not even getting all of Kansas City in that. So the data is relevant to the Black community in those counties, but not particularly relevant to the Kansas City itself, Blacks who live in Kansas City itself. It's what I say. It's at too high a level. It's 30,000-foot data, and we need 3,000-foot data. We have we need data that is on a smaller geography, Kansas City, than that report contains. And so even though that report, the data that we would use for that kind of report, for example, would either be from the census data, which is done every 10 years. And the census, of course, is an accounting for every person in every geography. Now, not every person responds, but it's close. And so when you have every person in Kansas City, and on the census, they indicate their race, Black, white, and others. There are 5 categories and then other subcategories. You can then use that data to get down to a Kansas City Black community level. But that only happens every 10 years. The American Community Survey is just a sample. It's a small sample, and it doesn't give you enough information there to know what's going on year to year in Kansas City itself. So that report would only be useful when the 10-year census is done, not when the yearly American Community Survey is done. And that's just Kansas City. Now, that's just, excuse me, the census data. When we look at education, for example, there is education data for all of the school districts in Kansas City, but all the school districts in that county. And so you need to actually separate out the Kansas City district data, and that's more than Kansas City Public Schools. That's the 11 district. That includes the 11 districts that are in Kansas City. That data, that research has not been done. No one has gone out and looked at school district data in all the schools that are in Kansas City and aggregated that into some kind of report on school performance. That certainly hasn't been done. The same with health. The health data needs to be pulled together from hospitals and other health facilities, clinics in Kansas City, because it's not just, we have, for example, health clinics that are predominantly serve African American community, or where there's a large African American community as clients, as patients. But that data has not been analyzed at a low enough level to say that we know what's going on in Kansas City. And in the Kansas City Black Kansas City report, there's also the criminal justice component, which has the county problem, I'll say. And then there's also the housing, which has the county problem as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I got a comment about that. Just because I agree with you in some parts, the research can get more granular. Now, the thing is I see, because I've been one that's been saying, hey, the research has been done. And so this comment is coming from a stance of handicapping ourselves. Okay, so knowing we have a timeline, could be extended, whatever, we handicap ourselves by acting as if we know nothing. For one, this has been a fight that's been going on for some of us for 3 years now. And every step required validation of why we are even coming to the table, which includes research and actual, extrapolated information, facts. So this comment of the research has been done is one that means that we need not act as if we can't come together and put plans into place about how it should result. I mean, that's what it's about. The research can get as granular as you want. You can find another researcher that says, well, hey, you missed out on this grain over here. But that doesn't matter. What matters is the end result to the community. And so the thing is that that's where the research has been done, is rooted in, from me, when you've heard it, because we need to start looking at what can be done to subvert these things that we already know. We don't need research to see the issues going on in Kansas City. If you've lived here long enough, you can see you know what's going on in the city, and you know what can help out. Now, is it backed by this, crazy data and whatnot? No, that's in the process. But we can't handicap ourselves and waste our time throughout, going through and acting as if we can't, hey, put brainstorming ideas on the things, not legs and meat on bones, but, cloud ideas, put them into our cloud, and brainstorm. That's where real stuff is going to come from. Because the longer we wait until this research is done, they pull all their stuff. Now we got to pull out their information. You're still going to have people that have did this for years and been in this research for years, and will say, well, hey, this is actually what's going on in this other book. not this research that is newly put out. So what it is that shortens our time to disseminate about resolutions. And that's the meat. That's the the fruit of this thing. So that's where, a lot of focus needs to be prime. And so that's just something that's where I've been rooted in saying this research has been done. We need to move forward and start to plan ourselves and seeing what can happen, what can result, what we all agree upon, what this is these things are that's where we need to go. So that's it.
Okay. Would you like me to comment?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, first of all, I didn't say we didn't know anything, that we knew nothing. We know a lot about some things. What I'm proposing is that we don't know enough about the mandate that we've been given. We've been given a mandate. It is a legal charge to research what the city has done. And we don't know that. That research has not been done. And I understand the impatience. We have a commission in place. We want to get something going. But that something going has to be in a framework in which we can prove our claims. Now, we may know what the claims are, but can we prove those claims? Can we provide the data that will stand up in court to make the claim, to prove the claims that we are going to make? And so we know the health disparities. I'm an education researcher. I have been doing education research for over 30 years before I became a professor. So I know what goes on in the education system in Kansas City. The question is, what is the city?
I don't know if it's me or you, Dr. Tahi, but you keep cutting out. And
okay. It may be me. I'm in my car. I'm on my phone. Let me see if I can maybe, I don't know, talk louder. I don't know if that helps. I'm very well. I'm speaking about education. I'm very well aware of the performance of Black children in schools in Kansas City, and that performance is no different, no substantial difference from what goes on in any school district, urban school district in the country. I suppose I can say that I know what goes on in Kansas City public schools and other schools because I know what goes on in Detroit schools or Chicago schools or US schools in general. But that's not irrelevant, but it's not enough to show what the city of Kansas City is responsible for in terms of the education of children in school districts, particularly since the city of Kansas City has no jurisdiction over education in any of these school districts. Now, there's a history of that as to why that occurred. And in our research of that history needs to be pulled together to make a legal claim that the city of Kansas City is responsible for the functioning of these schools, even though since at least 1954, it has had no jurisdiction over these entities. That's a legal case that has to be made. No one has made that research. That's a case, and none of us are lawyers. Well, there are a few lawyers still on the commission, but that's the legal case that has to be made. It's not enough in a legal case to say, I've been harmed. I don't know how I was harmed, but I've been harmed, judge. Repair that harm.
But that's in the harm report. That's the harm report. What I'm talking about is brainstorming. So just putting the ideas out there, because that, I just want to get through this, in essence of time. But the thing is that it's about putting ideas out there. What you're saying is you're coming as if what I'm presenting is, hey, let's throw our ideas out there and this is on the harm report. No, that's not it at all. It's that we need not wait for our RFI, our RFP, this researcher to come, them build their team, them do their research. And then they, after this time, get their stuff together. And then they send it to us. Now we do the report. And then we're talking about this. That's what I'm talking about. So it's about what we're coming at on brainstorming is never, it doesn't come to legal findings, or it doesn't, it doesn't cross any legal bounds, because we're brainstorming and we're not putting that on any official document saying this is what's done. I'm saying that we need to move forward ourselves.
Okay, I have no problem with brainstorming, but unfortunately, our charge as a commission says we are to do research and put a report.
Yeah, I get that, and so that goes as we're going on. It's a whole rolling process. Yeah, snowball effect.
Okay, so I don't understand your point. Then we have a mandate of what we're supposed to do. Until we do that, we have nothing to present to the city. Nothing.
All right.
Well,
so thank you. Thank you.
That's what I'm saying. We don't have anything to present to the city. We just need to brainstorm ourselves.
Okay. No problem.
Thank you both for those comments. We're going to move on in light of time, and we still have to do closed session, and we want to really make sure we get to that point. So I'm going to ask if Janae Relaford, if you're still on, to give your report from Kansas City Reparations Coalition.
Absolutely.
I don't know if, oh, yes, she is.
Yeah, here I am. Before I do that, I do want to make a point about this discussion that was just had. Brother Will was on the Midwest Reparations First Repair Strategy call this afternoon, and Delisha George from St. Louis was on the call. So they didn't get any funding, and they're done with their reports. And they're going to be presenting their report to City Council September 30th. So this 30th. So if you all have not connected with Delisha George, who's on the St. Louis Commission, please do that so you all can get an understanding of.
I think we have a very clear understanding of our charge, and they can choose to do what they chose to do. And we have a very clear mandate of what we have chosen to do. And so do you have a report for the KC Coalition on Reparations, Ms. Relaford?
I absolutely do.
Okay, thank you.
So KC Reparations Coalition, we're having our monthly meeting this coming Monday, the 30th. Baba Mickey secured us a wonderful presenter, and I'm hoping that you all will be able to join the call. I'm not familiar with her, so I'm actually looking for some details from the invite that Baba Mickey shared so I can give you a little information about her. Her name is Afia Zakia, and she is an independent African-centered scholar activist, a political science graduate of Clark University, and her work focuses on the interplay of culture, political ecology, Africana studies, and Black resistance movements. Most recently, Sister Afia has been researching, writing, and speaking on the significance of Maroon community, independent communities formed by enslaved Africans who ran away in historic Black towns and settlements. The focus of her presentation will be on free Black towns and settlements in North America from the 1800s to the present. So I'm really excited about her presentation. So I definitely wanted to lift that up, and I will send a formal invite to everyone for the meeting Monday. Other than that, KC Reparations Coalition, we are shoring up our admin. We lost Sister Kathy as our treasurer and secretary. So we changed our model with Community Capital Fund to help us with admin. So we were under their C model, and now we're under their A model. So now we are a project of Community Capital Fund.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So that is gonna really, help us to be able to focus more on the work and not be weighed down by all the administrative issues. We do have a new KC Reparations Coalition Facebook group. So if any of you are on Facebook, find the group, join it, and help us share, educate. And so that's what we're really focusing on right now, is trying to get funds to develop a multimedia education program. We actually just applied for a grant to in partnership with Family Court, Jackson County Family Court. They have an initiative called SPUR. SPUR is SPER, and I don't want to say the acronym wrong, but it's like Shifting Power for Equity, something like that. But so if you all aren't familiar, so African American young boys are being referred to family court 4 times more than their white peers for the same offenses. And the main referrals are coming from KCPD and Kansas City Public Schools. So Jackson County Family Court is really working hard to try to divert those referrals to them, to the community. So this grant that we've applied for, we're trying to get funds so we can find what the resources are in the community that these young men could be referred to, rather than being referred to Jackson County Family Court. So I think that's like the gist of what's going on. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question. Just because I think that I don't want to say lost sight, that we just may not see the power of, community. Like, one, the question is that could you attest to, or one, let me just say it. This commission was set by and pushed along the entire way by connections with people like Cam Howard, like First Repair, like NARC. They're the reason why this commission is instilled. And as we shimmed up all of our information and all this, and we kept pushing and fighting for this, it was essence of a national thing. It wasn't just us that did it. And so when we look at what's going on in St. Louis, we have to, one, recognize that that's within our bounds in Missouri. We have to see that we are, this has to be our passion, right? And the passion would be to connect with those other regions, because that's what got us here. And so then as those are developing, and as we are, that is a most essential necessity. So that was it. It really wasn't a question, but more so a comment, sister. That was it.
I understand your frustration, Brother Will. Thank you for your comment.
Any other questions for Sister Janae? All right, thank you. Thank you for your report, Sister Janae. Sister Justice, the Real Justice Network report.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody.
Hold on. Having a hard time. The connection.
I think it might be coming from her end.
Okay, let's try it again.
Can you all hear me well?
It not very well. Is it just here in the chamber, or can you guys hear her well online?
No, it's still mute. It's
No.
still muffled.
Yeah, it's pretty garbled for some reason.
How is that any better?
That's
Much
better.
Yes, much better.
Okay, I just unmuted and came back. So that seems to help. My apologies for that, you all. I will have to leave immediately after my report. I don't have much of one other than we are still continuing our research as it relates to reparations for reproductive injustices. beyond, and I did a presentation at the Black Maternal Health Conference. We did that in Georgia. I've been so many places. Yeah, that was Georgia a couple of weeks ago. And, making that ties with the reproductive injustices and reparations is part of our mission. And it's a part of the national work that our organization is involved in. And I'm just really happy to say that other organizations are starting to see the intersections between reproductive injustices and reparations. So look forward to hearing more about that, especially our report that should be done around the first of the year. And the larger meeting that I'm involved in with all of the other groups around the country, we did not meet this month. Most people were involved in the Black Caucus, the Black Caucus meetings that kind of overlapped on those days. But that's all I have to report today. Oh, just for my 2 cents, I put a couple of things in the chat, but I just want to uplift that having research from this body is critical. It is the work of this body, and I hope that we all understand that.
I am sorry because I can't see the chat, so I didn't realize that you had comments in the chat. Are there comments do they need to be responded to, or are you just want them for the record?
Well, mainly for the record, but I just wanted to say that the Reparations Commission, I said, must conduct its own research regardless of what has already been done, and it should be officially from the city. This is sound advice. Dr. Tauheed is giving us sound advice. And I just hope that we all understand what the duty is as the commission. I'm speaking just for the commission, what that duty is. And that it should not be overlapped with any other thing that may be happening. But the commission has some duties, and they are clear.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Any questions or comments for Commissioner? I want to call you Commissioner Gatson, for Advisor Gatson before she drops. Thank
yes,
you for. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
yes,
Commissioner.
Yes, Justice Ms. Gatson.
Yes.
You are doing research as well, and I hope you'll be able to make that research available, particularly to the health subcommittee as well. And perhaps it would be a good idea if we invited you to do a presentation for us.
We would absolutely love to do a presentation. And yes, we plan to release the findings of our data.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that would be great. I know Eric has a running list of speakers, and I can't remember if you're already on it, but if not, we would love to have you present on the data that you've collected or even in the process of collecting.
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Eric, are there any other comments out there in the chat that we missed or that I missed that needed to be followed up
just
on?
from earlier.
Okay.
But Kelly put one on there. More we add duties, the more we should pay. That was for the position earlier. Yeah, so we're good.
Will those chat comments be included in our summary notes?
I can put them in there, yes.
Yeah, especially if they're related to any of the topics that we've discussed. I want to make sure we don't miss anything. Thank you all for your reports. I appreciate it. At this time, we'd like to see if there's any public comment.
One in the audience is raising their hand.
So at this time, I'm going to ask that we officially close this portion of our meeting to go into closed session. Commissioners, there will be a separate email that Eric will send you, which is a Teams link.
Already sent.
And we want you to log on to that and give us a minute to transition out of the chamber. We have to go to another room to reconnect. So give us about 2 minutes to do that, and we will join you in closed session. Thanks to everybody who joined us today. We appreciate the public participation, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Are we off?